Thank you for tuning into Getting to the Root with Tracy Palmer podcast. Here, we are going to discuss topics and issues that will help you become the best version of who you are. Our goal is to give you encouragement and information that will help you execute your God-given vision. We are so excited you tuned in and hope you enjoy the show. Hey, hey, hey. Hello, hello, hello. Woo! Welcome you all to another episode of Entrepreneur Talk. I am so excited to be with you all. Those who are watching live, thank you for joining us. Those who are listening on the podcast, thank you for tuning in. We got another hot one. Now listen. For those of you who have seen the advertisements, you see what we put out there. Those of you watching live now, you already see the face in the place. We had him on episode 10. He was hot in demand. I don't know how I feel some type of way about that. He was hot in demand. People loved the show so much that they were like, man, you got to get him back. But if you remember, if you watched the show, we did say that there were some other things that we wanted to discuss anyway. So we was going to bring it back. And we are so happy to have none other than Dr. Michael Anthony Palmer Sr. with us on this day. Hey, how you doing?
Doing good.
See, there you go.
What's up with the church mother,
The
Dr.
church mother
Anthony?
thing. See, again, for those of you who know, he likes to act up. So he
Hey,
likes
look,
to act up. So if you
doing
don't
good.
know who he is to me, he is my husband. 22 plus years, 22, yeah, plus years. Don't forgive me. You be with somebody so long, you don't even know anymore. After about hit 10, you don't forget. I'm just playing. But no, he likes to act up. So just pray for me. Y'all need to pray for me because this is what I have to deal with on a regular basis. So just be prepared for anything. But no, this is good though. The last show that we did with him, it was awesome. Let me put my information up again. I am your host, Tracy Palmer, and I am so glad to be tuned in. This is episode 12, y'all. Episode 12 Entrepreneur Talk. And the show was called First Things First. So we just said, how about we just call it First Things First, Part 2. Let's just keep it like that. There were some things that we discussed. We discussed a lot, didn't we? We covered a whole lot in that episode. And it was good, y'all. So if you did not hear it, if you did not watch it, you need to catch the replay. And you can definitely catch the replay on YouTube. If you go to Get Into the Root with Tracy Palmer, you can definitely catch the replay there. Or if you, your favorite podcast platforms, if you listen through Anchor, Spotify, Google, whatever, basically I'm everywhere. You can definitely listen. And that's episode 10 of Entrepreneur Talk. And there was so much, so much. And so what we're going to do tonight, I'm going to get his information going up here so you can know a little bit about him. But like I always do with my guests, you know me, I'll get to talking. It won't stop because I love chatting. But I want to go ahead and give him the floor to at least briefly introduce himself. And then we're going to do like a quick little overview of kind of the things we touched on in that other episode. And then we got some amazing topics to cover today. So yeah, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, those who missed it the first time.
Well, first of all, good evening. Thanks for having me again. All of you who are listening and seeing this. This is truly a day that the Lord has made. It was just beautiful outside. So I always say, whether it's sunshine or rain, we're alive to feel all of it. So this is certainly another day that the Lord has made. It's a hump day, and you've made it halfway through. So anything that you went through in the past, lets you know that you can make it. You can make it. So um, once again, my government name is Michael Palmer, and God blessed little old me to go to a few colleges and actually get a few letters behind my name, and I'm grateful to God for that. And uh, we specialize in things like finances, economics, business development. We have other few other businesses and different things that we pivot into. But tonight is so exciting because we get to talk about some things that actually we all ascribe or to get to. And so I'm excited about it and ready to go.
Are you ready to go?
Ready to
Ready to
roll.
go. Ready to go, bro. Ready to go.
There we go, sis.
So listen, if you have any comments, questions, whatever, please, please, please put those in the chat wherever you are watching through. If you're watching through my personal page, through YouTube, through the Getting to the Root page, just type it in, and we will definitely try to acknowledge and put that up there. But tonight, or whenever you're listening. So we're doing this live tonight, but if you catch the replay, whenever you're listening. What we talked about in the last show, we dealt with some really major things. It was great. So we talked about getting your personal credit together before working on business credit. We talked about the importance of a personal budget. And then there was something that was said, I think budget should be my business. There was that was one of the phrases that was thrown out there, that budgeting should be my business. And then we talked about the mindset of an entrepreneur. Um, and one of the other key phrases that was put out there, or comments or whatever, that was repeated, that what you said that hit with a lot of my audience, was build your business, then build your house, and then financial repentance. So that, listen, y'all, if y'all missed any of that, you got to go and catch it. But that's kind of what we talked about. So those are the things that we dealt with in the last one. But then we started hitting on what was called levels of life matrix. And I got real excited about that because that was like really interesting. So again, like I said, as you're coming in, please put throw your hearts up there, your likes. Let us know you're in. Let us know that you can hear us well. Let us know you can see us well, because we always like the interaction with our audience. But yeah, we talked about the levels of life matrix. And I'm going to just name off all five, and then Michael, you can just kind of touch on those again, and then we'll get into what we're going to talk about tonight. So the levels of life matrix, we got the survival level, number one. Number two was stability. Number three, secure. Number four, success. And number five, significant. Now, go ahead, and if you could touch on that a little bit, touch on those five again, because I think this is going to kind of set the tone for what we're going to go into later on in the show.
Most definitely. And just to touch on it because there was so much, it was so robust last time that we didn't even really touch the surface. There was a lot of information, but just to start off with the first one, there are truly, in fact, five stages of life. They go from survival all the way to significance, and the number one was survival. Just like to hit on a bit of start. Survival is the starting point of where most of all of us actually start. We made the comment last time that unlike the game of Monopoly, everybody doesn't start with $1,500.
Right.
Some people start with nothing. Um, now, this is a Christian based show, and run all Christian based businesses. So I want to let you know that if you started with zero, you plus God equal the majority. So you have a million reasons to trust God and zero reasons to doubt Him,
Mhm.
even in survival mode. So I really just put that out there. A million reasons to trust yourself and God, because if God is all you have, somebody said He's all you need. Especially you need that in survival mode because it's going to feel like the only thing you have is God. And not to downplay this one, but this is the stepping stone. This should be you looked at as a stepping stone. This is where most people start. 79%, basically 80% of Americans actually live this way, basically from paycheck to paycheck, struggling, trying to gain some momentum. Sadly enough, most people will actually settle in their survival mode. I call those people the ones who actually accepted their lives and they're not leading their lives. So in
Mm,
survival mode is when you're kind of, where you, the age that you are in survival mode is basically when you're a young adult, you're in college or you're getting out of high school, getting a job, trying to actually feel your way through life, trying to become an adult and do adult things. That's the area where most people actually, you have to watch it in that area because of desperation and all those things come about. And now more than ever, I thought it was bad when I was in college and becoming a young adult, all these credit card offers and all of these things, easy credit and all of these things. It's even worse now. So in survival mode is exactly what it is. Survival mode, you can't. You're not polished. You're just trying to make it and trying to figure out if I'm going to eat ramen noodles the next day or oatmeal. But you're going to eat. So that's the survival mode. Um, the second mode um, is the one to where it's called the stability mode. Stability mode is, you're a little bit more wiser. You've arrived at a stage of actually passing through the struggle. The survival mode is where you're struggling through. Now, stability mode is now you're struggling, and now you've actually got some grain. You gain some ground and momentum, and now it's time to start actually doing some things and gaining some discipline and all of those things. Leading from that stage, and there's some steps in there. I would encourage you to go back to the last show. You said episode 10.
10. Mm-hmm.
Go back and look at episode 10. It'll give you a little bit more detail. In fact, what we talked about, a little bit more in depth. But stability mode leads to a mode called secure mode. Secure mode, when I wrote these down, um, these are things where you're very comfortable financially now. Your credit's good, you're nice, you have your car loans and low interest mortgage and all of those things. This is where you have to beware because this is where you can feel like you've really arrived at the summit of your mountain. And if you actually don't watch it, this is the stage that remember in survival mode, you're in desperate mode.
Mm-hmm.
Stability mode, you're more, man, whew, yes, the stability mode is probably the most grateful mode you're in because you're so glad to get out of survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to watch the security mode because it's going to make you get a false sense of security sometimes. It's going to give you a false sense of how far I've made it, and you're going to actually tell yourself that you've made it further than you are. Now the credit card offers are really going to start coming in. Now these cash loan people are really going to start coming in, and you're going to start singing to yourself that you deserve it because you've actually got yourself picked yourself up from your bootstraps. You got to watch the security mode because business owners stay here where you sold a house and you made $20,000 and you treat it like you just made $2 million, not realizing that you might have to live up to 20 for a couple of months. So
Mm-hmm.
you really got to watch. You got to have some discipline, more or less, in the security mode because you'll have certain things called false security, phantom security.
Mm-hmm.
It moves once you're able to get through those things. Um, then you move to a mode called success mode. Success mode is the mode to where you arrive, and it looks a whole lot like security mode because now you have things well beyond just your car. You have other amenities, vacation homes, and all these things. You're still up to debt. You're still in a little bit of a debt, but your debt is managed, and you have low interest rates, and you really don't have really a plan to pay them off. So again, I'm fast forward through this. There's a whole lot more detail, a whole lot more nuggets through this, but success mode. I remember T. Jake saying this that you can be successfully wrong, which means you're a successful failure. Sounds
Mm-hmm.
like an oxymoron. So at this stage, you got to watch the fact that you think that you've actually arrived. I like what Paul said in the Bible. He says, "Brethren, I don't count myself to have apprehended. I haven't made it yet, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things that are behind me." You appreciate where you came from, but you can't stay there. There's still higher levels to go. And he pressed for something greater. And we know that if there's a high calling, there must be a low calling. Low callings actually are right between the secure mode and the success mode. You got to actually be able to have a discernment of what's a high calling and what's a low calling. Um, and then finally, there's the mode that everybody should want to strive to be in. That's the significant mode. In significant mode, you're a little bit older, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully a whole lot more wiser. For sure, somebody said that uh, growing old is mandatory, but growing up is optional. So at this one, you've actually grown up, and hopefully you're not just growing old. A lot of us are growing old, but we're not growing up. So Paul says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I got into credit card debt like a child. I got repos because I couldn't afford it anyway, like a child. I
Mm-hmm.
spend my money frivolously like a child. But when I became a man, basically, when I became mature, I put away those practices so that I can get to significant mode, which is the high calling. Significant mode is where you have not only enough to take care of yours, and you've actually got your debts taken care of. So all the money that was going out is going back into your house for significant things like investments and all those things. Now you're unselfish. Um, Now you're actually looking at there's no longer a need of how we're going to pay these bills, how am I going to put into my 401k and all those things. Now you're in more of an unselfish mode. This is the mode to where You have unlimited influence. Um, you have success beyond your earthly life. You're starting to look at generational wealth on behalf of not only your family but others. You're starting to feed into others. This is the stage to where you move from being a mentee to a mentor. So that's kind of just a quick rundown of the five steps and the five matrix of life. Now, be encouraged because some people got to the significant mode, but I do realize that bad things happen to good people. Sometimes
Mhm.
we step back. One thing I like about experiences of failure, a story from failure to success, is this: that even if it's something in life actually got you back into one of those modes before significant mode, you should have a playbook. You should have probably took some notes because you can refer back to how did I actually get out of that situation before? What were the tools that I needed to do? What did I need to do to step back so that I can actually push forward? We all know that a slingshot has to go backwards
Mhm.
in order to actually get a projectile that actually moves at a trajectory that can actually hit the target. So I just want to encourage you who would probably actually, you may have lost income around this COVID time, but maybe a bad business move. Hey, it is what it is, and it's going to be what it's going to be until you change something about it. But if you find yourself kind of slip back into another mode, be encouraged because the same principles apply at whatever level you're at. Just get yourself back up, dust yourself off, and keep moving. It's a joy.
Absolutely.
It's a joy that's released when you're able to actually get to significant mode and see somebody else's success. You start looking at other and celebrate other people's success more than your own.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. And so, like we said before, if you want to get the full revelation of all that, because it was good, y'all. It was so, so good. Please check out that episode 10, First Things First. And that's where he talked more in detail about all of those levels of life. So we want to get, and I'm ready to get into this next part. So what this was called the cash flow quadrant. I think I kept trying to say it last time. I don't know why. I
Say
just
it,
wanted to
say it
say it.
fast 5 times. Say it fast 5 times.
Cash flow quadrant. I can't even do it. I can't even act like I will do it.
They might think you're Terry.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, thank. But no, for real. This this is crazy. So let me back up a little bit just to remind people. Of course, this is entrepreneur talk. But if you actually tune into my shows, you'll find out that almost anyone from any stage of life can get something from these shows, especially the ones we've done these last three, these from episode 10, 11, and then tonight, today's episode. You will be able to actually, it's more of a, it's not just speaking to an entrepreneur, but it's also speaking to the person, or let's just say it like this, maybe the entrepreneur that has yet to be developed, or maybe just that person that wants a better way of life, a better way of thinking. Because it's funny that my that Michael, when he was on for episode 10, he began to deal with the mindset, and then when I had Brandeis on, her topic dealt right with mindset as well. So there must be something in the atmosphere that God is really wanting us to understand about the mindset when it comes to shifting or changing the very essence of our lives. So changing how we operate, to changing how we maneuver in life, how we succeed. Yeah, everybody may not be called to be an entrepreneur. We get that, but the show is definitely speaking to either the entrepreneur that is existing now, or the entrepreneur that's yet to be born. So don't disregard the shows because
Yeah.
I promise you they are going to really help you, especially when we talk about this part. This is the cash flow quadrant. See, there I go again. Quadrant. And what I love about it is it takes you through those stages of being number one, an employee, to number two, self employed, number three, business owner, and then number four, investor. But what I want Michael to do first is explain a little bit and you give a definition, so to speak, of what the cash flow quadrant really is about.
Um, yes, this is something else. But let me start by saying this. Um, this is not an original thought. The cash flow quadrant. This was created and is trademarked by Robert Kiyosaki, um, the legendary and the best-selling author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now, before I have to go into this, I would recommend, highly recommend you read Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's an expose on what true wealth looks like as opposed to what America and big box businesses tell us what is really wealth. Just want to throw that out there that uh, this is a program and a philosophy that's been formed by Mr. Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad and many other books. Very resourceful. Look him up. But a cash flow quadrant. Look at me. I'm a cash. We're going to call it a CFQ.
CFQ.
The quadrant is it's a method by which different incomes are generated. That's all it means. It's a
Say
method
that
and
again.
it's a method by which various different incomes are generated. Now, there's nothing wrong with being in either of those quadrants, but it starts with an E, the employee. The employee. Um, I just really tonight I really feel compelled that someone or a group of people may be listening that um, you might have kind of like a kind of defeated thing going on um, when it comes to things that you've tried or whatever. Just sit back and just kind of just let the information, go back and refer to some of the other episodes. Um, but be encouraged when we talk through these things because some of this stuff is heavy stuff that you may feel as if I'm never going to reach this. And um, since I'm talking probably to a majority of believers, I want to let you know this that um, Satan has zero power. He doesn't have any power. The only thing he has is permission. Okay, he has no power. Meaning that if all power has been given to Christ, that means that if you actually take a part of Christ, that you have all power accessible to you as well. So don't be defeated. Be encouraged. That's my encouragement for tonight. Um,
Absolutely.
employee. So the cash flow quadrant looks. I want to kind of hold it up. I have a diagram. If you took algebra, you remember the x y axis. This basically it looks like this. You have the quad means four. So there's four different methods by which Robert Kiyosaki talks about, and I'm looking for it, and I think I just found it. So it kind of looks something like this. Um, and so maybe a little bit later on another show or something down the road, we can actually PowerPoint it out so you can see it. But it starts with a
Are
cash
you
flow
already talking about
quadrant.
being on another show?
Uh,
You already talking about being on another show?
no,
I'm just playing. Go
no,
ahead.
no. It starts with an employee. All of us start off working for somebody else. Most of us, I should say, start off by working for somebody else. Again, an employee, of course, I don't have to explain that, but um, you work for somebody else to earn an income. In exchange for your time, for whatever system they have as a business owner, they hire you for a certain amount of time and they determine how much you make, how much
Mhm,
you bring home. They determine how long you work to get the money to bring it home, how often they pay you, monthly, weekly, or biweekly. And the job is owned, like I said, by a business, which could be a single person or a large corporation. But that's where we all kind of start. The employee gives his or her time, energy, and skill
mhm.
to one person in exchange for a paycheck and benefits. So is that pretty good? That's a pretty good
Mhm.
definition. Um, so then we move from there and stop me anytime. And if you have any questions, we'll address them. Um, employees can make a little bit of money or they can make a lot of money. The more money we see in this country here, if you want to make more money as an employee, you have to get more skills, which takes more time to go to school, which means at school you're not able to work as much. You see the system, how it kind of
Mhm.
has you. I forgot what it was. It was an old commercial. The guy was like, "I want a better job, but I don't have an education. I don't have an
Mhm.
education because I don't have any money." So that's the thing.
Mhm.
You have to work to make a living, and based off of the permission that you're given in terms of your employer pays you, and your paycheck gives you limited permission on what you can actually do. Remember,
Mhm.
whatever level you're at, money is a tool. So, depending on your income, you either got a little screwdriver or sometimes you got a big crane. Based off your
Mhm.
income, you're able to do more with whatever you have. So, as an employee, you're controlled with your time. So, that's where we start the cash flow quadrant. Um, since we're talking to entrepreneurs, this show is geared towards entrepreneurs. You want to move from that to most people have moved to something called being self-employed.
Hmm.
I love self-employed people because those are the people who actually um, uh, have work ethic. They have an aptitude to succeed beyond working for somebody else.
Hmm.
Basically, the definition, I wrote this down after it's written down. Um, Many self-employed people, basically, what it is you own a job. So you go from having a job under somebody else who owns a business to actually you say you're going into business for yourself, but basically you own a job. What does that mean? I'm the receptionist. I'm the janitor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the controller. I'm the human resources. I can't fire myself because there's no one else to work for me. You know, if it's going to be, it's up to me.
Hmm.
So, what are some of those attributes? Many employees get tired of the lack of control. So you know,
Hmm.
so to have more control, you choose to work for yourself. The thing about that is, it's a skilled job or whatever the case may be. But what happens is you have to work harder.
Hmm.
You're working longer,
Hmm.
and you have to be more accountable because working for yourself takes a certain kind of discipline. But
Yes.
it may be better than because of your you're not being micromanaged, but
Hmm.
you are moving in the right direction. You're an employee with a business owner's mindset, basically.
Mm. That's good. Well, I do and don't mean to interrupt. You know how we say that. I don't mean to interrupt, but I do, because that's why I thought this was interesting. Because a lot of times we think when we're self-employed, we actually start using that other term, which is really not accurate to use yet. You know what term I mean? Business owner. Oh, I'm a business owner now. When we're really not quite yet there, we sometimes think it's interchangeable, but it really isn't interchangeable, not in the stage that you're talking about. Because you said now, not only when you're an employee, you are working for someone else. But when you become self employed, you just now own the job. It's
Yeah,
like you're
you
the
hired
owner
yourself.
of the job, but yet again, you are yet doing the same type of work and more, just like if you was an employee. Matter of fact, you are more of a taskmaster to yourself than your boss was, because it depends on you. So now you're, like you said, you are all 12 positions and getting paid way less than if you was just working a 9 to 5 when you're in that stage. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
yeah, that's great. As an employee, um, you know what you're going to make
Mm-hmm.
every week, every 2 weeks, monthly, whatever the case may be. If your salary, and I heard a lot of times at different jobs, that's even worse than being hourly
It is.
because you're working extra hours. But in a different connotation, Kevin Hart said something about self-employed people. Um, you're gonna find out today how valuable time is in the S quadrant. You got employee, that's E, self-employed, that's S. The S quadrant are people who, as an employee, you're W two. As a self-employed person, now you're probably an independent contractor or 1099.
Mm-hmm.
These are
Follow
people,
Schedule C.
yeah, these are people like dentists, insurance agents, realtors, restaurant owners, handymen. These are people who are self-employed. Now they have to actually, if they don't have the money to actually hire a CPA or accountant to look out for them, now you have to take even more time because you open up the store, you run the store, your business, and you close the business. We found out that as a self-employed person, most of the time your hours are 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
You may be tempted to actually go back to work for someone else because they actually are handling everything else. It's
Mm-hmm.
also true that as a self-employed person, sometimes you actually run the risk of actually, and again, business taking run the business is a risk every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So health coverages and all of those things
Mm-hmm.
may be something that you probably, the Uber drivers and the Uber Eats and all those people, DoorDash people, will fall into a self-employed category. If you don't do anything as an employee, as a salary employee, you still get paid if you actually maybe call off sick. You know,
Mm-hmm.
as a self-employed person, if you call off sick, you know the rest. You don't make
Mm-hmm.
anything. And
Mm-hmm.
so the thing is, there's a lot to actually taking that big step to determine. I tell everybody, people that I talk to, you really want to actually make sure before you step out of being an employee to being self-employed that you probably want to actually work on getting the budget right together a little bit. Now, there are times to where you have to step out on faith, but I also say this: um, faith is not about jumping out in the water. People talking about let's get off the shore. Let's get
Mm-hmm.
off the shore. Faith sometimes, actually, when it's mixed up with wisdom, will tell you that hey, there's a shark out there, and it's
Mm-hmm.
biting everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and you're bleeding. You probably don't want to get in the water yet. Get yourself together.
Right.
Well, all I'm saying is get yourself together and get around some wise counsel if you're contemplating moving from an employee to a self-employed person, because really, you're out there. You are the company and you are the employee, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So um, another thing about self-employed people, again, like I said, people do not have a lot of control. They have all control in the world when they're self-employed. So you have to have a little more time discipline. Let's
Mm-hmm.
go back to that mindset. The definition we had was a mindset is an established set of attributes.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have an established set of attributes before you actually can be successful and moving from being self-employed. You have the work ethic, but now there's a different level of a work ethic because
Mm-hmm.
nobody's looking over your shoulder.
Right.
If you decide not to wake up on Tuesday and you've been used to getting $25 per hour and you work 8 hours that day, you're not going to get $200. You're going to get zero. If you choose, it's your choice.
It's your
It's,
choice.
it's your choice. So instead of sometimes making this is wisdom talking here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes you may want to actually. There's nothing wrong if the Lord didn't come down in a cloud with a lime green light and open up your roof and
Not green.
say servant. You need to move from being an employee. Well, you might want to actually, although you have the aspirations, stay at your job and gradually move. The Bible said in Exodus, little by little will I give it to you until you can handle it.
That's
So
good.
unless you have a divine osmosis, and your windows actually open all the way up, all four walls of your house just go down and start flapping, and there's an eagle and a falcon that sit on your flat screen while you're watching the movie. Listen, you might want to actually use some prudence. God wants us to walk by faith, but He wants us to
Mm-hmm.
actually mix it with wisdom.
Right.
So
So let
self-employed, I
me,
say it there. I say it there. Wow,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, because see, we're gonna kind of pause for the cause so that you can, then we're going to get into the last two because we want to distinguish between being self-employed and being a business owner. Because see, that's a big difference. But let me say this, please, you all, please, 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 I felt led to go ahead and throw this in there. Don't take this as us discouraging you from stepping out. That is not what this is about. This is really about saying you need to look at it from all angles and understand exactly what you're getting into. Because too many times people love the sound of being self employed, but they don't like the work that's involved with being self employed. See, here's my shameless plug. Because I do business consulting and I help people develop what's called a one-page business plan, when we get to like literally, we don't even get to we get to step two of the plan, people are falling out because the step two of the plan really makes them dig into their business, their goals, how they're going to reach their goals, and makes them really see, am I really ready to do what I believe that I'm called to do or what I love to do. And what we're trying to do here is make sure that you are well aware, that you are well prepared, and you are ready for the ups, the downs, the ins and outs. We want you to be ready because we're obviously, we have moved into the self employed thing and actually graduating slowly but surely into the business owner section. Well, kind of, well, he's more graduated than me, but the business owner, where then, well, we'll explain the difference because you're like, but I'm a business owner. I'm a business owner. And it's like, no, baby, you still you still just consider self-employed the way that we define it. You're not quite business owner yet because you'll find out once he gets to explain the difference. But we want you to just be aware. We want you to count up the costs, know the risk, know that it's not a clock in, clock out. You get in 8 hours and you go, Sometimes, if you really want to be successful, You are up at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. You get a couple hours sleep, maybe 30 minutes sleep with a few seconds sleep here and there. Jump back up. Your brain never stops working. You're always trying to figure out how to put it together. So guess what? I'm just trying to let you know right now that it doesn't just stop with saying, "Oh, I made the move," and yes, I have the ideal, and oh, I got my LLC, and oh, no, no, it's more to it. So what I want you to do is right here, just briefly talk about some things that you may have going on right now, or some things, some offerings, because I don't know if you have anything that you want to offer the audience, the listening audience, the viewing audience, or some things you want to just kind of talk about briefly before we go into those last two parts of the quadrant.
Um, yeah, I'll talk about a couple of different things that may be able to offer. Um, one that we were just talking about employee. I just kind of linked up with a few staffing agencies because my goal is to actually see the line at the unemployment office uh, lessen and lessen, get smaller and smaller. I found this out that people want success without the work.
Mm,
Um, and oftentimes, I forgot who said it. I want to say it was Thomas Jefferson. He said that uh, success actually sometimes doesn't look like success because it's disguised in coveralls. You know, or a better way to put it is that the only time success comes before work is in the dictionary.
mhm,
Um, success, the word success comes before the word work in the dictionary. Otherwise,
mhm.
um, God says that He will bless the work of your hands. He's not just going to
Yes.
bless their hands. He says, "I'm going to bless the work of your hands." And by no means do we want to actually stray away from that. But staffing agencies have different forklifting jobs that we're trying to fill, all kind of different trades, unskilled, and they all are double digits per hour, all the way up to $25 per hour. There's a logistics company that's well known that if you want to reach out, I can give you more information. They're guaranteeing basically $25 per hour, guarantee 40 hours a week, daytime shift for the first 90 days, and then you actually end up going down to their nearly $20 per hour 401k, tuition reimbursement, all those things, because it's our goal to actually see people become self-sufficient.
Mhm,
So there's some HR counseling and marketing that we do right there that we can able to help assist people. Also looking for drivers right now. I own my partner and I own a logistics company to where we're looking for drivers, CDL and non-CDL drivers. Um, pays between 1,200 and 1,500 take home. So you can comfortably raise a family off of that. If you can't, something's wrong with you. Unless you got like 18 kids,
mhm, mhm.
But you can comfortably take care of a family. It's an honorable position, and we can show you how to actually duplicate yourself into others and actually turn that into a business as well. Credit and management, that's my passion right there. We do real estate development, all those things, but if we sometimes need to talk about credit and budgeting. So we that's a passion about how to get the building blocks first things first. So that's just a name a few things that we do. Um, uh, we do some other things, but those are the most important to me. Those are the most passionate things to me.
Okay. And so he threw a lot out there. And if you are interested, of course, you can reach me, and then I'll make sure he gets the information. But of course, you can email him, and the information is on the screen. If you are listening, the information will be in the description box. So you can just reach him through email, or again, my information as well, since we are connected. And I will definitely get him your information, especially if you're interested in the logistics side of things, being a driver, or you are also, if you're interested in the other job opportunity that he mentioned. Okay, or credit, or if you're interested in anything with credit budgeting. And we mentioned that before, that we definitely want to see you successful in your personal budget and things like that. So, in personal credit. So, we deal with that as well. So, now let's go ahead and fast track to the other two parts. Now, again, we have been under the impression that the word self-employed and business owner is interchangeable based on the way that we actually view it. Because we're like, if I'm self-employed, I own a business, and I'm a business owner because the IRS makes me file a Schedule C. So or I get a 1099. They don't take taxes. I'm responsible. I was gonna say that you're responsible for your own taxes. So in my mind, hey, I'm a business owner, but can from the I guess from a theory type perception or perspective, what is the real difference between when you're self-employed and then when you become a business owner?
When you're self-employed, you actually are working for yourself. You're employed by yourself, doing something, selling a product or a service that actually probably was derived from something else. Let's say, for instance, oh, a good one. You're selling a widget. I don't know, selling shoes or whatever. Basically, you're going to spend all your time doing one thing. Um, the difference in between the self-employed person and the actual business owner is, though you technically can say I have my own business as a self-employed person, the difference is business owners have a system. And basically, self-employed actually, when there's more systems, duplicatable systems involved, now you have people who are kind of working up under you. The key word is systems.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as a self-employed person, uh, even the most organized, meticulous person is still doing multiple jobs. When you become a business owner, you have a system set up in place to because you've actually built yourself up to the point to where you have other people who actually can duplicate in your absence.
Mm, that's good.
As a self-employed person, you're actually uh, one person. I think it was if I could take this theological this scripture, Jesus said that he did all these works, he did all these miracles, right? But then he says, when I actually go, um, greater work shall you do.
Hmm.
So I always wonder why Jesus was able, without a microphone, to speak to thousands and thousands of people. They didn't have any PA system, but it was Jesus. But he said, I'm going to give you the same thing. I'm going to duplicate myself inside of you. And
Hmm.
that way you'll be able to actually duplicate, and 12 disciples turned the world upside down and it became thousands of people added to the church. Uh,
Yes,
we, we can talk about that at Starbucks or something like that, but it's the same process. A self-employed person, you're basically, you don't have the resources to hire somebody else, but you're gaining ground because you're using the same principles and remember those those matrix. You're using the same principles on now as a self-employed person. That's the greatest place you can be if you wanted to be a business owner, only because now you're starting to, as an employee, you're not looking at how to cut costs,
hmm,
but as a self-employed person, you're looking at, man, uh, I see a penny and I'm about to pounce on it. Who dropped that dime over there? Let me pick that dime up. The sales papers that you used to throw away, now you start clipping coupons because you're trying to actually save money. You're trying to see how I can do things better. And that's a good place to be. Guess why?
hmm.
Because now you're trying to figure out how can I develop a system of savings so that I can actually figure out how to not use all of my time for myself. How can I do this and actually duplicate myself? When you start asking yourself, how can I do it better and make it big? Now you're a candidate for being a business owner. So now you have people working for you.
That's
Very
good.
subtle, very subtle difference, but it's a difference nonetheless.
Systems. I think
Systems.
the key word that you said is systems. You are see what I found again coaching business on self-employed people that call themselves business owners. They are trying to, they don't have a system. A lot of times they really are just doing their craft well, and that's what I says, they're good at their craft, not so good at their business, business development. That's why I think that was so important, because that's what we want to really like concentrate on, saying now it's time to move from just simply being well at your craft and actually develop a system so others can be well at your craft, and you can take time and move away from always being the only one that's doing well at your craft.
Here's the difference. Let me talk about real estate, for instance. The difference in a real estate mogul and a real estate person who actually manages their own group of properties is that if they don't have a management company, then they're actually self-employed. Remember, I talked about the realtor, the dentist, because now
Mhm.
you're actually taking all your things. You don't have the time to actually have a system to figure out how can I do less and actually maintain the same income and duplicate myself. The difference between a real estate mogul and, if I could say, a regular old Joe landlord is, um, the mogul actually develop a system to where they figure out how I can actually put my footprint out there a little whole lot bigger. How can I actually now go from actually stapling documents to actually going to go look at properties? You
Hmm.
see what I'm saying? How can I actually spend more time building my soon to come business? So that there's some subtle differences. The difference in uh, somebody who actually um, drives a truck for a particular company, as opposed to somebody who owns a fleet, is the person who drives the truck actually who has their own route, for instance, and they do the same thing over and over, hasn't figured out maybe sometimes, and let me say this just came to me. Sometimes it's okay to take a hit, take a step back. Sometimes you can grow too fast. I know you
Hmm.
don't want to hear that. Sometimes
Hmm.
you can grow extremely too fast because then you don't have the infrastructure to handle the overwhelming business that's coming. I know you probably have clients that who probably they
Hmm.
get out the gate. I mean, they gone. But
Gone.
when their business starts to actually get too big, they don't have the infrastructure.
Mm-mm.
That's a person who actually
No
is
system.
uh, who has all the attributes to actually get business, but you haven't developed an infrastructure. So sometimes it's okay to take a step back, and sometimes I know this is like a cuss word, but sometimes it's good to take a pay cut.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's good to say, you know what, I'm not going to accept that extra contract. You know, sometimes it's about, hey, my car payment's too much. Maybe I need to downsize my car so I don't have to actually work so many hours over here. How can I cut back corners so I can actually get my infrastructure together? See, the thing is, remember we talked about this last time. God actually won't allow things to reign in its fullness until there's management systems in place.
Right.
Here's the thing, God wants to give you everything that he promised you, but he's going to do it when he knows, because God doesn't waste anything. His word won't return to him void. And so he's not going to give you anything that he knows you're not going to handle, because if he does, what's going to end up happening is you might not take full advantage of it, because you only have a pint of capacity, and you actually starting to get a gallon of business. And what's going to end up
Mm.
happening is you actually going to try to pour a gallon of water into a pint, and it's going to spill over and waste.
Come on.
Then you're going to lose trust of clients because now your production's not there. And then
Right.
I tell you, word of mouth. You do one customer right, they'll tell five people. You tick a customer off, they're going to tell 30 people. And I know I'm right. So
You
my thing
right.
is that's the difference. So I really wanted to say that. Um, so I think we were kind of talking, moving into, the business ownership. But so, as a business owner, you qualify as a business owner when you actually have systems set up to where you have others who are now handling the debt. I almost
Hmm.
call it business ownership is almost like having people insurance,
Hmm.
because now you're transferring the risk of time to somebody else
Hmm.
to actually be able to have your time. It's an exchange. It's a bargaining of time. You're paying somebody to continue to build your business while you're out trying to gain more business so you can hire more people to do more business. And the cycle goes on and on. It
Right.
moves you to the next point.
I like what you said about sometimes, and I'm gonna use the word client. Sometimes you're gonna have to say no. You're gonna have to turn down customers. You're gonna have to turn down clients. It looks good when you got a whole bunch of people that are interested in, your services, your products, whatever the case may be. That looks good. And sometimes we think, oh, I can handle it. I got this. I got this. But if you don't have a system in place, it will crumble quickly. You will see how much you can handle. You
I
will
got some
see
advice. Yeah. Yeah. Go
you
ahead.
will see quickly how much you can handle, what you can't. And then, like you said, then you put yourself out there to look bad. And you may be the bomb.com. You might be the best thing out there doing whatever you do. But
Yeah.
because you could not handle the weight of what was coming in, you couldn't handle all the customers, the clients, you couldn't handle. Now you don't look so good in the eyes. And so it is good to say, hold on, I do at this level. Let me get real good and solid right here before I start going to the next level. Even if that means that I gotta say no to these 10 clients and customers that I know that's a nice little grip of change, but I don't want to accept that and not be able to perform.
Yeah. And a lot of times that attributes moves from it comes from a place of because you actually develop certain things. I always say that, when it's basically desperation at its finest. When you probably have things that you're trying to actually take care of on a personal side. That's why it's good to get your personal affairs in order as much as you possibly can before you start
Yes.
going like that, because it'll
Yes.
almost it'll almost be like my brother told me this last week. I say I'm gonna have to use that. It's almost like selling your car for gas money.
And
Uh, you know,
I almost didn't catch it. I was like, wait, what? Right.
because you have a vehicle to get you to the next destination, but Mr. Kiyosaki talked about this in the business in the self-employed part. They try to get so much business that they experience burnout. So in order to actually fill themselves back up, they're willing to actually sell their car and to get some gas money, which defeats the purpose of actually getting the gas. Now you got the money, but you don't have the vehicle.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So you have the money, but you don't have the you have the vehicle to actually get to the next destination.
Right. I'm gonna sell my car
You
for
got gas
gas
money
money.
though. You got gas money.
If I ain't
You,
got no car.
let
Got
me.
no car.
They said like this. I got some Bible for that. You remember Moses, who had 2.4 people. His father or his father-in-law Jethro, he had 2.4. Can you imagine one person trying to actually manage 2.4 different people? That's 2.4 different personalities. That's 2.4 different wants or whatever. His father-in-law came to him and said, "Hey, bro, hey, listen. These people are too much for you. You're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna wear yourself out because you
Hmm.
got too much." Now, take again. His father told him, "This is what you need to do. You need to start delegating." So when you actually have the skill to start delegating, now you're a business owner.
There you go.
Now you've crossed over, because up until that point, it can actually take you over. And the thing is, it's okay to actually take a step back to say, okay, I'm going to regroup. We talked about this as well. It was Esau and Jacob, who Esau was a hunter, and he went hunting. Historically, hunters didn't go hunting without carrying a snack with them because they knew that just in case they didn't catch anything, they still had something to eat.
Hmm.
Um, Esau at this particular time didn't have a snack, but he came back and he saw his brother Jacob actually cooking some bean soup. The Bible says lentil soup. And he actually sold his whole birthright for a bowl of beans.
He was hungry. He was hangry.
He was hungry. I want to say this. What's the moral behind that story? Don't be a hungry hunter. Don't sell your birthright below belongs to you for something that's less than you.
Wow. Ooh.
So
What? That was
yeah,
good.
yeah. Um,
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's the danger of actually. It's the same principle of selling your car for gas money, which is still funny to me.
I don't know why
But
that tickles me. It's
um,
not funny, but
you
funny.
know, you cut off the nose to spite your face, and on and on. But the thing is, we want to do things in order progressively. So even in the Bible, we saw where actually Moses' father-in-law told him, "You need to start appointing people over this, and appointing people over that, and appointing people over this." Now, let me tell you this: don't start trying to hire people when you don't have anything for them to work for.
Hmm.
What all I'm saying is, and I'm speaking to the person that actually likes to oppress other people.
Come on.
Just because you made a couple real estate deals, don't mean you qualify to go to the Mercedes Benz lot and go into debt. Now you putting big old deposits down on a lease so you can look a certain way.
Come on.
There's a better way, y'all.
There's a better way. Hmm.
I speak from the heart, and not only from the heart, but from the head as well. Listen, um, working your level. It was our good friend Terry Dove Pittman who said this in one of the conferences. You are enough, and until you can become more. It was Dr. E. Dewey Smith, and I'm gonna move on to this next one. I'm just thinking about things that Dr. E. Dewey Smith said that if you stay small enough, long enough, God will make you big enough soon enough.
That's
I
good.
like that. I really like that. And you don't have to be you have to be intimidated about what they're doing over there because you got your own race to run. I don't care
You'll
if they
get
have
there.
this. Yeah, you get there.
You'll get
You know
there.
if somebody else is doing the same thing you're doing and you know it's in your heart to do, there's clientele for you as well. But don't try to don't there's no need to be bitter. Rejoice.
Mm-mm.
Remember we talked about you might be struggling, but it's okay to have significant mindset. You might be in a stage one, but it's okay to have
Yeah. Yeah.
stage five. So those things actually help you once you qualify to actually when you see that I'm growing and I need to go ahead and take a pay cut. If I'm a real estate landlord or whatever, I don't have to manage my property. It's okay to pay somebody 10 to 15% to go ahead and you can't fix toilets. You putting duct tape over your pipes and all these. It's okay to delegate that so that you can move to get more business and hire other people. Don't you want to create employees?
Hmm.
Don't you want to create jobs? You can't be a job creator if the only job that you have is for yourself. So you want to actually
Absolutely.
start duplicating yourself. And that moves us to the other one. So
Okay, so and that's investor. We want to and spend about maybe 5, 7 minutes just kind of talking about what does it mean to. It's kind of like it goes along the lines of when we were talking about the levels of life matrix. When you start at survival mode, and I would kind of compare that to the mode of an employee because let's just be real. A lot of
right,
times when you're an employee, you might do pretty well and things like that, but man, when you're working for someone, you do feel like you're in survival mode most of the time. And so then if I was to look at the investor mode, I compare that to significant. So how let's talk about that. So how do well, I'm trying to see which way I want to ask this. What is the difference between now, since we know the difference between being self-employed and a business owner? What is the big difference between when I'm a business owner and now I'm an investor?
great question. Um, Again, the cash flow quadrant is ESBI. That's employee, self-employed. We moved to business owner. Now we're an investor. This is where the last two are really where every entrepreneur should um, desire to be, and that should be your thing. When you're an investor, you became a business owner that actually your system has actually gotten to the point to where you're no longer actually in the day-to-day operations because you delegated to the point to where your money is making money for you.
Mhm.
But that's the most layman's term, the layman term. Basically, um, investors own assets and produce income.
Come
So
on.
you
Okay.
so
Okay.
you're no longer earning income. You go from being an earner to a producer.
You own assets and you said produce income. Is that what you
Yes,
said? I heard you right.
yeah, assets
There's a
that
difference.
produce income.
Assets that, there you go. You own assets that produce income.
Yeah,
There it is. There it
yeah.
is. There's the
Cynthia,
key. That's what I wanted
yeah,
to hear. Right
absolutely.
there.
I remember back in 2000, 2001, it might have been. I heard this at one of the leading people in Primerica. They right here in Indianapolis, Eric and Cynthia Newman, real great people. I went to something that she mentioned something, and I won't say it because this is a Christian show, but I'll just say it like this. We all know how to spell assets, right?
Hmm.
Um, she said basically, if you're wearing it on your backside,
Hmm.
it's not an asset.
Hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying out there?
Hmm.
If you
Absolutely.
if she said, just if just for those who are kind of working on 1G, ASSETS, just take the ETS off it. If you're wearing that on your the first three
Hmm.
letters of the word asset, then it's not an asset. You know,
Hmm.
if you're driving in it, and it actually, let me say this, y'all who want to go out and get these cars and all these things, those brand new cars, as soon as your first tire hits the parking lot or the street, you lose 40% of value. So you have a depreciating liability. So the difference in an investor and a business owner has graduated to the point to where they've actually used all the principles they learned from all the way from survival mode, all the way to significant mode. And now what they're doing is they're using they start to actually take the profit from their income.
Hmm.
They take the profit from
Hmm.
their income, their income through their business, and they actually reinvest it into other businesses.
There it is. There it is. That's what it should be
Now
about.
you start buying other systems.
You better, you preaching now. Now you preaching. You preach. You listen.
Let me tell you, for
Oh,
instance,
she can't
and I,
hear. Somebody said they can't hear. Oh. Oh, well, we'll just keep going. Sorry.
for instance, I like to call it like this: an investor actually found a way to actually create their own shop, pivot, pivoting businesses. You actually took from one business and you took that and you put into other. In the real estate business, what I've currently done is take what I've done in real estate, and actually we put it into the logistics business and actually other resources to start other businesses. So you need one business. You only need really one business idea that actually takes off, in your definition of taking off, to buy into other businesses. So this is my favorite one out of the cash flow quadrant right here. This is where investors own assets, but an investor only owns assets that produce income. I'm not going to buy um, a single family house and charge rent. I'm going to buy a 4 unit apartment. You know, this is four houses put together. Instead of charging $1,000 on one single family house, why not buy a 4 to 10 unit and actually grow my money? You see what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? And then you take that and you can invest it into other, but you don't, you get at this point, business owners and investors, they've gotten the business coaches, or they've gotten actually people, bankers who actually look out for them to see what are the better opportunities out there to invest in. Investors don't get jammed up. The investors do like this. At the worst of the worst, I still make money. At the best of the best, I'm doing really well. They never lose money. For the most part, they buy an asset that produces income.
There was some technical difficulties. I was testing my phone. I could hear through my phone. So I got my phone and I turned it up. I was able to hear. I'm not sure what may be going on for the one person that said that they couldn't hear. So if there's more than that can't hear that's tuned in, let us know. Because we want to make sure hopefully that everything's recorded. So if something did happen in Facebook land, we okay, they can hear now. So all right, we're good. We're cooking with grease. So all right, so maybe it might have been something technical
Ain't that
there
wonderful?
in.
God can restore
Can
healing.
he?
We had
Okay, okay,
hearing loss.
good.
We
Good.
had
So
hearing
everybody
loss.
else is good. Okay. So might have just been the one person had some technical difficulties. Hey, because this is too good. I needed to make sure that we was still on. But yeah, I love I didn't, and I'm sorry to kind of interrupt you on that. But I mean it just that is so good. I'm that business owner. We sometimes we are going towards what, like I said, we've interchanged the word, but since we redefined it, we go towards being a business owner. And even in that, what somehow we still have this mindset that we got to play a part, like we still got to keep our hands in it, that we got to still put in a few hours here and there, that we don't walk fully away from it. And but you're like, no, no, no. When you're a business owner, you should be so confident in the system that you have in place. You can walk fully away from it in the sense of saying that you put a manager in place. You don't even have to manage. You don't have to micromanage or anything. You just get the reports or whatever the case may be. But then you said, take it a step further. Now, don't just take that income and then you live a lavish life and just live it up off of your one business. You take that net income and you create more multiple streams of income by purchasing other businesses. What did you call it? You said something. You called it something. You said by purchasing other. It's a word you used.
Other systems.
Other systems.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
purchase other systems. I love that. And
Only,
and
but
I know
you
we.
only
Okay.
purchase workable, proven systems.
Yeah.
This is where you start actually, business owners start looking at the real estate market. They start looking at the Wall Street journals. They start looking at all the boring stuff that people turn off to look at talk shows. Um,
Hey, hey, hey! Wait a minute.
you
I'm talking
know,
about talk shows.
um, again, people have to realize, are you serious about it? When you're watching somebody else's show, and I like watching TV as well, but when you're watching somebody else's show, what you're doing is you're participating in the network's business system, and you're watching somebody else make money. And it's okay to actually, um, get away from that, for a little while, because we're all tempted. That's why you need to have a space or a place where you can go that actually you're not tempted until you can actually handle being around a normal space and still be resolute in what you're doing. I had this written down. It says this is the quadrant, that actually produces truly passive income,
Mm.
proven systems. Um, I got this down to investors in this quadrant have annually, or I'm sorry, have usually accumulated money earned in one or more of the other three quadrants. And so,
Mm,
investor goes back and invests in those same companies that you used to work for.
mm-hmm.
Um, you start buying, ownership into stocks
Buying
and
stock.
security stocks and technology stocks and all of these things to the
Mm-hmm.
extent to where you know you start reading the peaks and the valleys and when to pull out, when to stay in, when to
Mm-hmm.
keep a little bit in, you start educating yourself
Right.
and you start becoming a smarter business owner becomes a smarter investor. Now,
Right.
I'm going to sound like I'm really harsh when I say this, but I mean it from my heart. Should I say it? I'm probably going to
You
say it
threw it out
anyway.
there now. You threw it out there now.
I can only talk about people in my own region in the Midwest, but this goes on nationwide. Y'all, remember what we said? Investors own assets that produce income.
Mm-hmm.
If I can say, don't be tempted to actually open up something that you know you're not going to run.
Come on.
Uh, I'm talking to let me pick on all my jewelry sellers out
Oh,
there. Let me pick on all of my people who actually are up at 4 o'clock in the morning looking at infomercials and all of these things. I'm not going to say it, but if another person opens up, bloop, 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 then I'm going to my thing is market share, market space. These are things that you need to start looking at. Why would I go over here if I see that this is a dominant market, but there's nothing over here? You need to actually go over there. Did you notice that when one person came out with the meatless burger, other folks start coming out with the meatless burger, but they put their own twist on it. And
mm-hmm.
so my thing is market share and knowing your marketing position is it takes a little research, but some of y'all are crowding up in corners and getting into businesses just to say that I actually am a part of this business.
Come
I'm,
on.
I'm,
Well,
I'm speaking more or less from a more like a fatherly financial standpoint.
mm-hmm.
So don't you see my face? You know, I really care. No, I really really do. I'm smiling, but
no, you do.
um, it really really actually grieves me a lot of times when I see and I go to these different events where a lot of businesses are actually stacked table to table next to each other. You selling a pickle and you selling a pickle. Maybe I need to hook up because maybe one person actually can actually have a different twist on the pickle. Partnerships is fine, but all I'm saying is this: figure out what is good for you, and don't get tempted to actually, since somebody else has a seemingly success, get into
There it
that
is.
and you fall on your face. Now, I mean that with all my heart, and I can say it. I can repeat it. My thing is, we need to stop getting out of this circle of actually similar businesses, and
Right.
that's all I'm gonna say about that.
That's what I talk about. And we're gonna wrap it up really
How many
quickly
people?
because
How
we
many people can sell socks and drawers? I mean, you got other things you
did
can
not
sell,
say
but
did
uh,
not say it's gonna wrap.
uh,
But that is one of the things that I deal with and I talk about as well to clients when they start getting in those bloop 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 businesses that we're referring to, that I'm like, okay, so I'll say it like you, I say it in the motherly tone. Now, I'm not trying to discourage you, but I am going to let you know that the level of success that the person that started that business had, you're not going to get it. And they're like, I'm like, I'm not saying that you won't have some level, but the level of success that you think you're going to get, this is such a saturated market. You're not going to find that level because they're going to tell you you can. But if it's 25 of y'all selling the same thing in the same region, in the same state, in the same city, in the same neighborhood, guess what? You are not going to get the same level of success that that person that first started the business is going to get. I'm not saying you won't get any. You're going to get
yes,
your friends, families, and then they'll refer because people like you, your likability, but it's going to hit a brick wall unless you have a backup plan or a system or something in place that makes it unique. You got to find the uniqueness in it. Oh, that was something I lost my train of thought because you had said something. Oh, I was gonna say it's time to get into what you were saying. That Shark Tank. I was thinking Shark Tank mentality. So let me ask you this real quick, and then we are gonna wrap this up. Would you say that when you step from being employee to self-employed, and you get into the mindset of saying, you know what, I want to not just be self-employed, but I actually, my goal is a business owner. Would you say that every business owner that once you get maybe from self-employed to business owner, the goal should be not just to have a business, but to be an investor, that you shouldn't even think about getting into your own business or being self-employed if your whole end result is not to be an investor? Would you, and what I'm saying is not talking about investing in real estate, even though, hey, we're gonna push that because we know the success in it, but we mean not just saying, oh, I got a business, I got this one business and I'm good. Should it be the goal? Can we kind of change the mindset of the people and say you should have another goal than just to own a business?
Yeah, I think, and that's a good point. I really think that I want to say this, and with all due respect, I meant well what I said. What when I said, don't crowd the market. Now, this sounds contradictory what I said several minutes ago about, just because somebody else is doing something doesn't mean that, God doesn't have. If He calls you to do it, remember, see what I just said. If He calls you to do it,
If he
then
calls you to do it.
I use the example of you selling pickles. This person might sell pickle slices. This person, we know somebody who's really successful in a business that almost is set up like a multi-level marketing business, which is going to be the new wave of the world, really. But their system is different. Oh, your system is
The
different.
system
That's
is
the
different.
thing. It's not the product, people. It's the system you set up. Everything rises and falls off a system. You ever wonder
That's
why
good.
these players in the NFL run ragged until they go to the New England Patriots? I
Mm,
mean, they call them thugs and all these other things. They get into trouble. But the minute they go to the New England Patriots, there's something about that system that they get into that they actually come into an existing culture. And then they just straighten up and fly right. They become Hall of Famers and all of these other things. People forget about all the other stuff. All I'm saying is work on your system. If you work on your system can actually go through any whatever product that actually is apropos to what you're doing, and you'll be successful. Um, but you got to do some research. It's okay. God told Joshua, "This book of the law shall not depart out of their mouth, but you shall do and observe to do all those things therein." Contemplate on the book of the law that's talking about God's way of doing things. And then it says, if you contemplate on those things and don't let that law, God's way of doing things, depart out of your mouth, but you do those things, He says, then you shall prosper and then you shall have good success. That's what He said. All I'm saying is, whatever you've been called to do, um, that's what you need to work into,
mhm,
and don't do it shabby. Now, this is just a suggested system from a very successful businessman. Robert Kiyosaki has made a lot of people millionaires in the last several years, 10 years, maybe 15 years, by people applying, people just like you and I, using some of these same principles and maybe just remixing them and letting it work for you. But the success speaks for itself.
mhm,
That when we as believers, we have to have an answer. We should be the ones that actually are just moguls and all of these things. But there's a strategy behind it. There's discipline behind it.
mhm,
Discipline is wisdom is the principal thing, but discipline is actually the thing that actually makes you work within what you got and what you know and get the job done.
mhm.
So we speak from the heart, not to actually bash any type of business. All I'm saying is whatever business that you're in, it's the system that makes the business successful. And the lack of a shabby system, everything rises and falls on a system.
That's good. That's a good note to end on. Unless you have something you needed to say.
There may be one.
Don't you start being foolish. Don't start being foolish. I warned y'all. I
They say
warned y'all.
they say you can come by letter. I said
But
no.
seriously, no, that was a good note to end on, unless you did have something else that you wanted to quickly say before we close out.
Yeah, I want to say, and I may not know all of you, I may know some of you, but if you actually took the time out to listen to this, and it lets me know that you're an entrepreneur, I'm proud of you for whatever step and what state that you're in. The thing is, this country is ran by small businesses and investors that actually get on there and actually they run the business. Um, the world is ran by educated people. The most successful people, the difference in between a lot of times somebody who's rich and somebody who's poor is a decision.
Mm,
You could take two identical twins and one eats whatever they want to eat, and the other one has a good eating system. They have a thing in place to where they follow the discipline. And they look this way, but they were born exactly the same. All that to say is, we all are created in His image. So God doesn't have a respecter of person. Um, and the thing is, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Um, He has that for you, but God gives us businesses and visions sometimes in a broken puzzle box. He'll
Come
give us
on.
a picture, and it's up to us to put the pieces together. All I'm saying is, please don't try to put and stamp a piece where it look like it fits, but you know good well it doesn't fit.
Mm,
Make the piece fit because it fits somewhere.
wow.
That's it.
That's good.
I
You
know,
ready
right?
to take you will
Um,
take up an offering? You ready? Was it your offering speech?
yes, but no, no, listen, let's keep each other in prayer. Let's continue to move forward, and don't let anybody take you out of your lane. Yeah, some of us need to do people evictions.
That part. That part.
We, we want. I won't allow negative people to occupy space in my mind. I'm going to do an eviction. I don't care who you are.
Hmm.
My thing is, I can love you, and I'll change your tire, but if you don't pay your rent on time, I will evict you. If you work for me, I'll see you at the church picnic, but you fired. The thing is, there's a system in place, and when people respect the system, bankers respect when you have a system in place. You're bankable when you have a system. Otherwise, you're not bankable. You're trustworthy when you have a system in place. So let's look at some of these principles. Go back. You may ask
Hmm.
some things that we didn't talk about. So I'm done.
The systems, it's all about the systems. That was what that if the takeaway definitely from this show was to put your systems in place, get the systems in place so that you can get to the level of success that God intends for you to experience. And as I always close out, to give that encouragement, to let people know it's time to live the life that God intended for you to live. And I believe that your statements and what you have said on the show tonight has been just amazing, to let people know that, hey, God has success for you. God has an amazing, great, and an awesome plan for you. But it's up to you to do exactly what it is that He has called you to do, and not what you think you should be doing, but what He has called you to do. And then put the system in place so that you can get to that level, the level that sometimes we don't even think we can achieve. I think that's the problem. We don't think we can achieve that level. But why would God give you something and He not take it all the way through?
Yeah,
Why
he's
would He give
he's not
you
cruel like that.
something?
He's not
Well,
cruel like that.
He's not cruel like that. Why would He give you a vision for it to remain small? God doesn't operate in small. Nothing that He does is small. When He speaks, it became big. It becomes a world. It becomes
Yeah,
everything you need. So the attributes of God is big. So
yeah,
why would He speak a word and all we produce is small? He's a producer of big. That's all
yeah,
He does.
yeah,
So
yeah. Deuteronomy 1:11. I'll leave you with this. Deuteronomy 1:11 says, uh, "May the Lord make you 1,000 times more than what you are."
there it is, that part.
Um, may the Lord make you 1,000 times more than what you are. So once you get to 1,000, He still wants to make you 1,000 times more than that. He wants to increase you, and you're going to make it. Don't take no for an answer. Say yes to yourself finally, and do something different. And watch God actually do what He said in His Word. He's not a man that He should lie. He's never going to lie to you. Other people will. Other people will lie to you, but the thing is, God will never lie to you. You're going to make it if you actually apply those principles in your life. Get into that word. Look at His principles on how to run a business. And I tell you what, sometimes God skips people from an employee all the way to an investor. You
Huh?
know, He
Won't He
does
do
stuff
it?
like that. Yes, He
Huh?
will.
Won't He
You know.
will?
Now, most of the time, he wants you to learn something along the way. So the thing
Absolutely.
is, let's do it. Do it together. Ask questions. You have my information. If you want to shoot a question over, whatever. Um, I love the dialogue back and forth. Because we can teach each other.
Absolutely. And on that note, thank you again, Dr. Michael Palmer. Thank you for agreeing to do part two for us. Again, like I said, you were highly, highly, highly requested. I'm like, listen, I don't know about all that, but no, it just speaks to the first of all, I think it's because of the encouragement side. People want to, know that somebody they got their back. They understand. But number two, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the understanding that you have. So thank you so much. I know you're so busy. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule because I know you got to go do part two of your schedule, part three, part four, part five of your own schedule. But thank you again so much for being on the show. I'm pretty sure y'all he'll be back again for some other reason. He's always got stuff to talk about. He's full of knowledge and wisdom. So I'm pretty sure there'll be some things coming up here in the near future, and we'll be able to chat it up and chop it up with him again. So I think he kind of said all the closing statements that I could ever say, any encouragement that I could ever give. So I won't even waste your time trying to put together a line of encouragement other than, again, just live the life that God intended for you to live. Live your best life. Do everything that God has called you to do. And just live it, just do it to the fullest and don't be afraid. And sometimes when we say, I think you've even said this, sometimes you do just gotta do it afraid, but just do it. Just do it. Just get
Do
out there and do it. So
do
again,
do it
on
do
that
it
note,
do it scared. Do it scared. Don't
I
do it
said wrong.
afraid. Do it
Do it
scared.
scared. Do it scared. Okay,
It,
it's one of
you
those.
know, it's
Just
okay to have
do
some
it.
adrenaline. Just have some adrenaline in your stomach.
It's all
But
right.
it's all
Just get
right.
out there and do it. Just make it happen. So, um, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening and tuning in. And until next time for the next Entrepreneur Talk, we will see you later. Take care and be blessed. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode of Getting to the Root with Tracy Palmer. If so, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel in order to be notified when a new episode is posted. You can also connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or go to my website at gttrwithtracypalmer.com. Until next time, take care and be blessed.